Perfect, busy. It's a fight week, you know. I say that fight week. It's not the fighters are not the only ones fighting. We're all fighting. So the fight for us has started a month ago, but this is the key point for us. So you know, every day is crucial, every hour is crucial. So today's the opening ceremony. So having a good time, and I think it's always going to be the relaxing, and you'll see what's worth when you finish. 100%. We did the MMA Super Cup model. We collaborated with IMMAF. We've done the World Championship. We've done the Grassroots Development Program. The whole idea of why the MMA Super Cup model was that piece of the puzzle that we're trying to put within the next 5 years. We're going to put that whole complete puzzle of creating a global ecosystem, from governing body to the national federations empowerment to having investors and finances of the investors who are interested in sports to invest into mixed martial art rather than other sports, or having a percentage of their investment into mixed martial art. All of that is a part of the puzzle that we're creating, including Brave globalizing and creating the new model of Brave National League model around the world. And IMMAF as a governing body has to take their step as well parallelly. So MMA Super Cup is that next step where we are seeing in football or cricket where we have the national pride factor, and that is what MMA has to bring in. You've seen the world championships of boxing, wrestling and MMA, and we don't feel that same feeling when we see India playing cricket against Australia or West Indies or Pakistan or anybody else. We don't feel that because it's not one of your Indian cricket players playing against 20 other cricket players and you are somewhere in the middle, and it's about an individual. It's about your country, it's about the team, and we know that everybody has to play a part, and that model is MMA Super Cup, where the teams have more responsibility, the coaches have more responsibility, the countries have more responsibility to support their nation, because they're going to go out there and fight for the country, because they're bringing back finance, they're bringing back economy into their country, and they're bringing back global awareness to their country. So it is much more different. The little tweaks of substitutes, the t-shirts, all of this plays a big part in making people who are not very much aware of MMA still go and watch it. So if you have Bahrain 30% people loving MMA, today we have 90% of the people going to come and watch it. And the reason why is not because they understand MMA, it's because they want to see how Bahrain performs, and we want to look at the scoreboards and yell and scream for the next fighter. Because if you're one down, we need the next guy to come and win, you know. I don't know who it is, I don't know what's his strength, I don't know if he's a wrestler or a striker, but I want him to win because we need an extra score. I understand that. So I think it awareness-wise, it spreads. I think that is a big step towards how we're going to be building awareness and bringing the rest of the world outside of MMA into it. We've been stuck in the MMA bubble, always caring about what MMA people think about it. But let's talk about the world of sports. Of course, I mean, when you don't know people, you know, it's the beginning times, and I know Kenneth Brown, who's the president of IMMAF today. At that time, I don't think he was a president. I think he was a CEO, if I'm not mistaken. He was a CEO, and Denzine White was the president of IMMAF. So at that time, they've had a different structure of teams. So I've had meeting with people who are not existing today in IMMAF, but some of their financial team, commercial teams, and so on and so. And every time you meet with commercial teams and financial teams and you're trying to explain to them about the future of the sport and the love of the sport and the change in the sport, you're not going to get that results back, you know. They're always going to look and say, how much are you going to spend? Prince, Bahrain, Middle East, oil, how much money, you know. So that's been always the mentality that we were scared to face with. We've traveled and met with a lot of promotions also preaching the same message, that let's all come together and create a new structure like FIFA or ICC for the sport of mixed martial art. But everybody was busy with their brand, their valuation, and their exit strategies, and their revenues. But when we went to IMMAF, we didn't have that, because that's the first time I met with an organization which was focused on sports development. Of course, their mentality was the grassroots development and amateur development. And we've had a couple of conversations about commercials and everything else. But when I sat with Kenneth Brown, we just clicked instantly, and we both had the same vision, same mentality. It was simply what's the vision of His Highness to develop the sports business from an event business to sports business of mixed martial industry. That's exactly what Kenneth Brown had in his mind, what we had in our mind. So we clicked, and from there, it's history, you know, when it comes to the World Championships hosting in Bahrain, empowering the IMMAF, the talents that's coming out, Brave getting some of the biggest talents of theirs, we going around the world and collaborating with their national federations and empowering them internationally. And here we are at the MMA Super Cup, making the biggest change in mixed martial art. I don't worry about it, because we come from India, and we know that we have the biggest sport in the world, the strongest federations in the world, one of the richest and the fastest valuation leagues in the world, and ICC is not in Olympics. So that's where I come from. So I understand it. So I'm not really worried about it. But Do we want to be in IOC? 100%. We want to be recognized by the International Olympic Committee. They are the biggest organization of sports in the world, and we want MMA to be in the Olympics. And IMMAF is working really hard towards that. And to be what they have done in the past 10 years in terms of going towards the getting closer to the IOC recognition, it's unreal how fast they have done that and how much they have developed to do that. And today, to be in January, I think, of this year, they've been recognized, become a WADA signatory, which is a huge part of it, part of the next step. So I am with them. We are backing them. And we will be supporting them all the way till they're part of the IOC and till they're recognized by the IOC, and we will be with them. But on the other hand, I know mixed martial art as a sport. It is the fastest growing sport in the world. It is the most global sport in the world. It has the highest fan base growth in the world. And we have seen the largest valuation in a corporate company in sports has been in mixed martial art. And we have also seen stars becoming global stars of mixed martial art. Everything is there. So I understand the sport. So I don't worry about fighting towards IOC as make it or break it for our sport. Our sport needs a structure, a global ecosystem structure that we can become the ICC as big as FIFA and make as much revenue as these sports, because we have advantage over every other sports in terms of globalization, and we've shown it. We just don't have the model, and we want to introduce that model, and people have introduced the model and failed too, because they haven't done the legwork of creating that ecosystem, going to different countries in 25 countries and 5 continents, investing in the international federation to empower the governing body. Nobody has done that, because as a business plan, if you are my CFO, you would slap me on the head and say that's not the right thing to do, you're wasting too much money. But the vision of His Highness is not about how much your brand can do an exit strategy tomorrow. His goal was one. The reason why we started this organization, this vision, is to change the sports, the MMA industry from an event business to a sports business. So we always say that Brave is not a promotion, it is a vision. We are not an event, it's a national project, and that's what we do with every country. Today we have the best national federation, the top MMA lovers at the national federation here today, all working towards the same goal. And we have the model, we have the relationship, and we have the sports experience behind as KHK Sports into almost 13 different sports. So we want to bring that into mixed martial art, and it doesn't happen. One individual, one company, one nation cannot control a sport. And if there is someone doing that, then that sport has not been shown justice, because that sports is controlled right now and simplified. We need to open that doors for the whole world, give opportunity to athletes around the world, but opportunities to media platforms around the world as well, gyms around the world, managers around the world. Everybody should be able to eat the part of, it's a big cake, everybody can have a piece of it, and it's a good piece to have, so, but we need to create that ecosystem. I know that if we start in India, in Middle East, in several other countries, the structure that is connected to the global ecosystem is going to change the world. It's going to change mixed martial art. Mixed martial art, for me, will become the most lucrative investment opportunity in sports world. And this is not coming from an MMA lover alone. It's coming from a person who has invested in sports. KHK Sports have invested in 13 different sports, whether it's hosting events or owning clubs or owning events, or sports media properties. We've been everywhere in the regulation side as well. But MMA is going to be the most lucrative investment opportunity. And what we have done with IMMAF is we have invested in Bitcoin when it was $1. That's what we have done today, and the world will come and start investing when it's $40,000 or $50,000, but that time will come. USA is a market that is important for USA, and US market is one of the most biggest sports market in the world. If you ask me who is the #1 NFL, Cristiano Ronaldo of NFL, I have no idea, to be honest, really. And I'm not lying, I just really don't know. And if you ask me who's the Messi of baseball, I have no idea. But sometimes for the US market, they don't need the rest of the world in their sports industry. They have the biggest sports industry, and they can thrive through it. The only difference with MMA was MMA is today a US sport, but it is globalizing. That's the beauty of it. That's what we have to realize, that although it is an American sport, we know that Pride was there in Japan, we know all of it. But let's face the fact, the growth is from UFC and USA. So it has become an English-speaking sport today. A guy doesn't speak English, he's not marketable anymore. So we know it is. Whatever people think about it, it is an American sport. It is there, and they don't need the rest of the world realistically. But they're capitalizing on it because they've seen the sports globalize so much. So why not capitalize on it? But are they paying equal attention to everywhere? No, they're not. So who are the people going to USA? Look at their business plan. Look at their vision. Their vision is to show we are the #1 promotion in the world. We are making more revenue than them. We are the biggest in our country, and we are going to sell this company to something else in the future. We are in the completely different ball game. We are not in that business. We are not competing with UFCs or Bellators or anybody else. We don't have to lie that we are the largest in Asia to say that we are the largest in Asia. You know, you have to see what's the facts. Asia is South Asia, which is India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. This is South Asia. We are Asia, which is West Asia. You look at Southeast Asia. You look at Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan. Central Asia, have you seen a promotion go to all this region? There is Brave Combat Federation, you know, but that is not for our brand. That is what we are doing at a bigger picture. That's our vision, to globalize the sport. We don't want to go out there and say that we are the largest. But so how important is Asian American market? It is the most important market for MMA, no doubt about it. And people should not misunderstand that what we are trying to say is that that's not an important market. That's why we don't want to go there. No, it is the most important market. But we are not busy trying to go into their business, what MMA is today, forget our vision and go there and try to fight in their business with them and try to take a piece of the pie that they have created in the event business model. No, we're trying to create a completely different cake to eat, for everybody to eat a bigger pie from it. And that's the thing. And that day, USA, one of the biggest market, will have the biggest pie, I believe, will have the biggest pie because MMA is so big there. They have the first movers advantage. They have everything that the rest of the world don't have as much as we want to create it. They have it already. So when the structure is created, they will have the biggest pie. They might even have a piece of everybody else's pie if they want to. Revenue-wise or economy-wise, they have promotions that have multi-million dollars of revenues, you know, so they could have a piece of everybody else's pie. But that's not a problem. We are not worried about that because we're not competing with that. We're telling them, join the pie, join the cake, eat the cake, everybody eat, but be under one umbrella, be under one structure. You want to go and create a Premier League in UK, go and do it, but if it is not under the FA, you're not going to play Champions League, you're not going to play the cup matches, you're not going to be part of anything under the FIFA structure, but you can still do it. That's the structure we want to build. You know, they can still do their event and promotions, but they will realize soon that the economy, the finance, the development, the media, every growth is within this big umbrella, and we need to be a part of it. The faster they become a part of it, greater for them. The more they wait, they will turn out to be a Nokia while we be an Apple. If you look at Bahrain, you mentioned rightly about F1. If you look at Bahrain, we are look at the country, and we are innovators in sports. You know, it's not about being the hub. It's about being innovators in sport. What His Highness has done for mixed martial art in this region, being the face of it, creating this ecosystem. And today, we say that this is the biggest sport in Bahrain, how much it has grown in the region. The world is coming here for combat sports, not just MMA, but for combat sports. And we will also see the combat games in Saudi Arabia in 2023. A country that didn't have combat sports 10, 15 years back, it was not very big. And today is a hub, and we believe that in 5 years, 10 years from now, this will be the real Vegas for combat sports. But if you look at Bahrain, we were not just the first ones to build the structure for MMA. We're the first ones to bring F1 too to the region. You know, we're the first ones to bring F1 to the region. We're the first ones to create a team to go to Tour de France. We're the first ones to bring a triathlon event called Ironman into the region. Before it was challenged, and then we bought Ironman, and it became the one of the biggest. So we have always been the first movers in looking at what is innovation and development of the sport, and that's been the focus. So that's why I always say when we talk about mixed martial art, don't look at me as an ex-fighter. Don't look at me as a promoter. Don't look at His Highness as a person who loves mixed martial art alone. Look at the backstory behind us. And look at the backstory of everybody else in the MMA industry. And you look at our backstory, we come from the sports world, whether it's football, FIFA, hosting events in the country, having teams competing internationally. Development of sports have been massive here. We've been the innovators of it. So we want to take that knowledge, love, and experience into mixed martial art at a global level because we're still young. Not many sports you can do that. We can do that for our country in many other sports. But when it comes to changing it around the world, we can do that only for very few sports that are young, because it's easier to change a young man's mind and make them, develop them and empower them. And I think mixed martial art being 35 to 40 years old is still young. It's not a 100-year-old sport like boxing that we cannot change it anymore, you know. It's too much to change. So here with mixed martial art, this is the time. We are all lovers, we are all young, we are all there. And we need the right people with the right knowledge, the right vision to go out there and worry less about their exit strategy of their company and their brand, and worry less about their investors and how much funds they've raised, and focus more on how do we create that structure around the world. Will we lose by doing that? Yes, we will have a loss by doing that. But 70 years from now, I can tell my son when he says that I want to be an MMA fighter, I can tell my son that don't worry, son, You have to go to a gym called an academy, and then there'll be a scouting program from the academy to go into the national tryouts, and from the national tryouts you'll be taken to the national team. From the national team you'll be taken into the national federation's pro list, from which you'll be in the league, and you will have revenue and you will have money to take care of your family on a monthly basis, and you will be famous nationally and compete at an Asian level, international level, through the structure that is connected, and hopefully represent your country at a World Cup level, which is the MMA Super Cup Professional, where you will bring at least 30 million back to your country by winning. This day you will have a statue of yourselves, but only talent is the variable. You don't have to worry about anything else. Or we will be in this world where I tell my son, you want to be an MMA fighter? Spend every day 8 hours tweeting 5 tweets, being more involved in IG lives and Instagrams, and being a YouTuber. And that way you will earn more than the fighters who are spending that 9 hours fighting. You know, it depends on us as MMA fans and MMA media to decide what we want to tell our sons in the future. I think Khabib, he's a very smart individual. You know, he's a very smart individual. He understands the sports from day one. Although he was, I think we have met a lot of athletes from Dagestan. We have a very good relationship with the athletes from Dagestan. We have Eldarov as well. What he has transformed, Eldar has transformed, who's a childhood friend of Khabib, what he has done for the MMA national team here and transformed the team, transformed our Bahraini youth to where they are today. We've realized the understanding of MMA. So when you look at countries that didn't have that much opportunity, like the American world, they had the next door UFC, you know, and then other door you have Bellator, PFL, Titan FC. You know, they have everything given. But when you look at countries like Dagestan or Bahrain or Middle East and many other countries, they have to think smarter. They have to become smarter. They have to know that, listen, I can't go there and stay there and not learn English. I have to start working on English classes. So their training program includes conditioning, grappling, jiu-jitsu, and English. You know, and that's when they understand better. So I think he's an intelligent athlete. From his fighting, we know how intelligent he was in reading fights, but I also think he's intelligent in terms of as a human being, in terms of understanding the business, understanding the sport, understanding people, understanding his students as well today who is developing. So he is a very smart, brilliant individual, you know. So I think he must be having his vision and his strategy, and I hope it is in sync with our strategy, because there is no other strategy other than the strategy that is the truth. There is nothing. I will sit here and talk hours, but I will promise you that the event business is the worst business model. You want proof? I will tell you. Go find out how many promotions, MMA promotions are there in the world. How much can you think of? There is 6,000 to 7,000 MMA promotions in the world. If there is 7,000 MMA promotions in the world, how many are successful? 6,999 are failed promotions. So the question really is, somebody says, no, it's only 6,990. Okay, sorry, 6,990 are the failed models. Imagine I go and ask someone to invest in this sport, and he looks at the guy who doesn't know sports, and he looks at it and he says, you want me to put in this model where 95% is failed and only 5% is success? No investors would do it. So that's why the only solution is to bring the fastest growing sport in the world, fastest fan base growth in the world, fastest valuation growth sport in the world, most global sport in the world, connect it is with the most history spoken successful sports business model, from IPL to NFL to Premier League to Bundesliga. Bring that model together under regulation and governing body, and you do that in every country, nation, one by one, and governed by international federation. That is the only model. Is it easy? No. Can Eagle FC or One FC or any FCs in the world and Brave alone can do it? No. Not even us can do it alone. This is why we are bringing the world together. This is why you see us doing co-promotion in every country we go to. Why do we do that? Because we want to bring the world together. Let's talk about the MMA community together. Let's talk about the media community together. Let's all ask this question rather than going and writing for clickbait. Why is Francis Ngannou not being paid enough? Who's right? You will get clickbait, but let's ask the right questions. Let's go out there and ask, why is that problem happening? You think Dana is right? You think Francis is wrong? Nobody's right or wrong in the sport. The industry is wrong. The proof is there on the table. The history is the proof. Let's work towards, all of us united, work towards a new future, a new age for mixed martial art. We are there. You have the sport in the right hands. You have the governing body in the right hands. We are doing it around the world. Let's work together and make this happen. Send that message out there. I hope so. I hope so. If that is really, but I mean, we are talking very technical here. We're not doing it for the pay-per-views or the ticket sales. That's not the growth of the sport. The growth of the sport is not my fighter and your fighter comes together and fights, and your fan base and my fan base will give us more ticket sales. You're going back to the event business. So, if one championship and PFL, Brave and Bellator or UFC and someone else makes the fight, what is it for? What you're going to do is, you're going to take mixed martial art from where it is at least today and bring it to the boxing world, which is worse. Do you want that? This is the question. But is it fun? 100%. I'm with you. It is fun. We would love to see it as fans, 100%. But what happens after 10 years of having fun, and then we lose our Muhammad Ali's and Mike Tyson's, and then we're sitting and saying, we need somebody to save our sport. We need a new star to come and save our sport. Do you want to be in that situation? It's technical questions. These are really serious matters where we are not in the bubble of MMA and look from the sports bubble and look at it from that way, and you think, do I need to spend time on trying to make deals with other promotions? No. But if, like co-promotions, what we're doing, we do have their fighters and our fighters fighting. But for the bigger picture, we know we are partners and they're going to be the leaders of developing the sport in their country. So definitely there's a bigger picture to it. So if we are doing this co-promotion, or if we are making fighters fight with each other, let's all make sure that that step is to showcase to the world that we all have to come together and create a format together where we all are under the same umbrella. If that is the case, I'll be the first ones to come forward. If that is not the case, and if it is about telling me that, oh, you will sell more pay-per-views or tickets and sponsorship, believe me, if that was the case, we wouldn't have left our country, and we could have just developed in Middle East alone and become the #1 in the region and made all the money from the region alone. But that's not the world it is. And I don't think if that was, if it was about money, believe me, you're talking about football, you're talking about horse racing, you're talking about esports, you're talking about every other sports. We would never touch mixed martial art if it was about money. But it's not about money. It's about development of the sport. It's about the change. So there is a bigger future. And whatever is there and whoever is there that comes on the table and tells us, we are with you, we are with them. If it is about development of the sport, 100%. Perfect. Thank you very much.